When it comes to rideshare driving, there are two companies in the United States, both Uber and Lyft. And a lot of new drivers, they like to think about which company should I start driving for first. Well, I'm Harry here, the founder at the Rideshare Guy. And in today's video, we're going to compare both options on 5 different factors. So number 1, we're going to talk about pay. Number 2, we're going to talk about bonuses. Number 3, we're going to talk about availability. Number 4, we're going to talk about services and coverage. And number 5, driver satisfaction. And then for the fun part, we're going to pick a winner. So let's get into it. Before we dive in, an important disclaimer. The rideshare and the gig economy has a ton of variability. So how much you'll earn depends on a lot on the city that you drive in, the type of vehicle you're driving in, and even how good of a driver you are. Believe it or not, better drivers actually earn more money. With that out of the way, let's dive into the pay. Both companies actually pay drivers based off time and distance. So as you might imagine, longer trips actually pay you more money. And you aren't paid for the downtime when you're online, but you're waiting for a trip. During busier times, Uber passengers might actually pay 2 to 3 times the normal cost of a ride. This is called surge pricing. And that's a good thing for drivers. Friday, Saturday nights, when rides are surging, you can actually make a lot more money. And it's a good bet. If it's busy on Uber, it's probably also busy on Lyft during these times. So high pay for long trips is obviously a good thing, but you also need to stay busy. This is one area where Uber typically beats out Lyft because they're the market share leader. They have about 2/3 share of the market. So you can actually stay pretty busy as an Uber driver sometimes compared to Lyft. But there are some markets like San Francisco, which is actually Lyft's home market, where they've had pretty good market share over the years, close to 50%. So again, your mileage may vary. So while they pay about the same per mile, you'll probably stay busier with Uber, and that means you'll make more money driving for Uber than Lyft. All right, so let's talk about bonuses now. Both Uber and Lyft offer bonuses. Uber's program is called Uber Quest, which is a trip-based bonus program. So the more trips you do, the more money you make. Lyft has a very similar program called the Weekly Ride Challenge. At the beginning of each week, you can actually select a Quest offer on Uber or a weekly ride challenge with Lyft. And if you do, say, 70 rides, Lyft or Uber might pay you $200 extra on top of the money you're already making from giving those rides. I have to say that Uber and Lyft are kind of in a tie here because both companies tend to offer pretty good bonuses in the bigger markets. Let's talk coverage and availability. This should be a quick one because Uber is actually available worldwide, while Lyft is only available in the United States and Canada. So I have to give the nod to Uber on this one just because they're available in so many more places. So there are a lot of different services and offerings that each company has. When we talk about Uber and Lyft though, 90% of the rides happen on UberX or Lyft Classic. That's usually what we think of when we say the word Uber or we say let's grab a Lyft. Both companies also have a black car option that utilizes commercially insured and licensed drivers. There are also other services like XL, which can actually fit up to 6 passengers, so bigger vehicles, or even Premier or Comfort, right, which are going to be nicer vehicles. Uber tends to offer more options, but I think the big difference is that Uber also has food delivery, right? So I kind of give the nod to Uber here because of that flexibility. They've got more options, more different levels of service that you can drive for, and the food delivery is just the icing on the cake. So Uber wins this category. All right, now let's talk about one of my favorite parts, driver satisfaction. Lyft has historically always been the more driver-friendly company, right? They were actually the first company to offer tipping. They encouraged passengers to sit in the front seat. Uber was always more reliable, but I think there was a lot less loyalty on either side, right? So we've always seen that drivers have preferred driving for Lyft, but a big change has happened over the last few years. I think the companies have started offering more and more of the same services, and I think that early feel that you had with Lyft has kind of gone by the wayside. So I would say this category is now a tie. I think at the end of the day, it all comes down to who keeps you busy and who are you going to make more money with. Now, if you add it all up, I think Uber is the clear winner in my book because if you add up all the numbers, what it comes down to at the end of the day is keeping drivers busy, right? Drivers stay busier with Uber, and that means that you'll make more money driving for Uber. But the nice thing is that you can sign up and drive for Uber, and it won't be that long before you add on Lyft, right? It really pays to have a backup. There are going to be times where you're out driving for Uber, it gets a little bit slow, you log on to Lyft, and you take whichever ride comes first, right? That's one of the nice things about driving rideshare is that you can sign up for as many companies as you want, and since Uber and Lyft are the top dogs in the United States, it always pays to have 2 companies in your back pocket ready to drive.